Hi, my name is Rhonda Kitchens. I am your librarian. I am talking about today next level Google, Google News, Google Alerts, Google Advanced, Google Scholar. You've probably heard of Google, but let's talk about a little bit more. There's more you can do with it, especially now that you're working on your academic career. Essentially, Google is where most people begin their searches. I mean, it's amazing how many people have adopted it. Maybe you just use the main search, but there's several sub-searches and different limiters and ways to deal with it. There's news, there's images, there's video, and other ways to parse out information. You might not know that there's a Google Advanced. It actually has a form you can fill in. The nice thing about this form, it's sort of training wheels for a search strategy. You can actually use Google in many different clever ways. And while you may use Google Advanced a few times, sometimes you'll pick up the formula, like how to search inside of a site and other things, and just start using them very comfortably. Finally, there's Google Scholar. You may have dismissed Google Scholar right out of hand because it doesn't have full text or you couldn't find the full text. But guess what? We have set up a Google Scholar link that is tied into Big Bend Community College's library databases so that you can find the full text if we have it. Google Scholar is a great way to beat the paywall. The paywall? You know, when you come up to that wall, it's the perfect articles, only one that's going to work for you. You click on full text and it wants $40, $100, something ridiculous. Google Scholar is a great way to figure out if the library has it full text and if you can get to it immediately. And finally, it's just two little extras that I won't go into deeply. I really want you to know about Semantic Scholar and also Wolfram Alpha. Sometimes you might have been using Google when these other two pieces might have done just as well. Let's talk a little bit about internet domains because when you're going through the search results, sometimes you're going to need to have a way to evaluate just from the search results. If you see a .com, that's commercial. That's a great way to find shoes and some other information. .edu is education. A lot of times there's a great deal of hidden information deep inside of all sorts of archives, open resources below the search where Google doesn't really quite get unless you tell it to go there. .org is organizations, associations, and things of that nature. Ideally, they're nonprofits, but they could be any type of organization that supports any number of things. The .org doesn't say that they're say credible, but they do let you know that it is a group or an association, and sometimes within those spaces, when you understand the bias they may have, they should have a great about section. You can use these reliably as well. And others, because it keeps changing, .pizza, .art, and I personally have a .art one, and it's a great way to make sure people do find you. So I could sell you something, right? Anyway, so let's look at the components of the URL. This sometimes is really important, especially if you get to a page that doesn't work, or you're like, this sounds like a good idea, where's the rest of the things? Sometimes when you look at the browser, you can see the pieces that build out to the page you got to. For instance, if you go somewhere, .edu, AU, and you get to this point, but this isn't working anymore, go up to your browser, get rid of it, and go to the subject section, and you might be able to find it there. If that doesn't work, erase it all back to this and just use this domain and try to find the search on that page. This is going to save you a lot of time if you understand that the URL is a way for you to get around some roadblocks and find new and different things. As you see these slashes, this means there's usually things you can take off. When you start seeing question marks and equals, sometimes that shows your actual search information. So you can also get rid of that. But it all has sort of a meaning, and when you manipulate them a little bit, you can get two different types of information that you might not have known was available to you before. It's not true that librarians hate Google. Librarians also don't hate Wikipedia, by the way. But there is a thing about it that does distress people who do research. Most people never get past the first page. In fact, most people hit that first link and they never get any further. So if you're doing research with that first link or in the rankings of these links, do you see how this graph shows how it decreases who gets where? So suppose a number of people are doing research on a specific topic. This may be the only source they have, whereas these people are looking deeply. In fact, I encourage you when you're doing your research, Try this. I know it may be painful. Why don't you try to go in 10 pages deep? Or you can start building different searches that bring up different things. But just understand, between this habit and the way that the algorithms and you get built into sort of a bubble of your own, Google starts working with you and showing you what it thinks you want as opposed to what you're looking for. So how do we break out of Google and make it work for us again? There's quite a few ways. Here we are on the basic Google page. If you're like me, you might have Google Drive, and other products. I love them. They're free. Always changing and exciting. I think it's a great way to, of course, your emails over there too. If you want to know how a search works, I'm not really going into that today. I'm just kind of practically going through some search strategy with you. But here we have the basic form. So I'm going to work on today gold mines in Washington State. First of all, just to let you know, prepositions, conjunctions, and the like are often stop words. They don't really search the end part. If you want to improve your search, you can put quotes around Washington State or gold mines, and they search as a phrase. Here I have something that lets me know raregoldnuggets.com. I see that they have an ebook, so this might be a commercial site, even though it's not listed as an ad. Let's go down further. I see that we have recreational gold panning in Washington State. This is a Washington State government site, so that might be interesting, and I should have some relatively good expectation not to be sold anything. And can gold mining save a fading Washington town? Crosscut ends up being sort of a blog or a newspaper. I didn't examine it that far. It's from 2018, and it's sort of an interesting title, and it also kind of makes me wonder, should I have used mining instead of mine or mines? This talks about an actual mining technology project. Travel tips, looking for gold mines in Washington. Brief Washington gold rush history. It's going to be a .com. It's going to be a blog. That means based on who's presenting it, you might want to look at the about to determine their credibility. And it has some videos and some other pieces. This happens to be the Library of Congress. It's got a government site with maps. So that might be very interesting if you're looking for it like that. And this is a .com, which may lead us to something that may be sold to us. From here, there's related searches. You may not have picked the best search. So this gives you some suggestions of ideas that may also work. And I encourage you to go past, it's kind of like underneath here, there's more pages. Go past that first page. Be intrepid. Don't be like most people. So here we go. So that's interesting. Let's look at the other pieces. So I'm going to, if you see more, you can see you can search specifically for videos, books, flights, and finance, but I'm going to go to maps first. And this particular piece may be something you can use in a presentation. You can look for ratings on the best possible maps. The filters are more about where you go, but these might be images that you can use for your presentation or piece. But let's look at actual images, and I want you to be totally aware of this. These images are not free for you to use. How do you figure that out? Almost on every page you're going to see these, and you may not have noticed them before. Settings and tools. Usage rights. This gives you items that have Creative Commons licenses. Some of these are not for commercial reuse, some are fine for education or free to use, and many of them ask you to put in your, when using it, a little caption showing the Creative Commons license, which should be easy for you to find on these different pieces. You will see all these little dots will let you know how to use these. Now there is a website specifically so you can use images free that do not have copyright or other issues, and I'll kind of drop that in too because that's important, because that might be better for you to use then images. Another section that it has, oh, let me go back to images. And this is kind of an interesting part because sometimes you never look at this. So you're trying to build something you want to match up the color palette. And like maps, they're usually green and brown perhaps, but this I picked pink and it shows some of the pink shaded pieces. So if you're trying to do something that looks gorgeous, this does have a piece in it that's actually interesting, and it also gives you these little pieces across the top. So your image search can be changed by the tools. You can figure out the size, types, time, something that's been produced in the past 24 hours. Sometimes these may not be relevant, but they are available to you. So I'm going to clear these up. And the next thing I'm going to is news. Frankly, when you know something's happening, you probably go to Twitter because there's people on the ground tweeting out images, pieces, video, the whole thing that's live. And Google doesn't really work at that speed of light, or does it? Again, make sure you look at these tools and settings. So here we are with tools, recent. So you can get things that have been written about in the past hour. I'm just going to go with Washington State. And now we have things that were posted 11 minutes ago, 29 minutes ago, and sooner. You can also look for the past year, month. You can look into archives and custom ranges. Suppose you just want to know one thing that happened on a date in a place. This can help you build that. Sort by relevance, and that's our options there. But those are really strong options. Again, these settings and tools are fantastic. I love them for videos. Are you doing a presentation and you need to put a little video in it, but you don't really want to manipulate it and do clips and things like this, this will help you find short videos under 4 minutes. And if we look through the list, we see these are .govs, so it's put out by Washington State government. This is a newspaper. This is the government. So you can see the quality of these pieces and how they may be useful to you. So we've looked at, we also have quality, anytime, so you can have things that have been put together recently. This was uploaded at least 57 minutes ago. And I don't think there's anything here that may be useful for us, but I want you to know that these are available. Settings and tools. And that's true for each one of these different limiters, news, maps, images, all, so that you can control your search and get past what package or things that Google may give you and find things that may be more of what you're looking for. This is interesting, but I can't get it to work right. You may use it on your phone or not, but it's available to you. You can search by voice, and you can do it with your desktop. Washington State and gold mines. Right now, it's not working. It was a few minutes ago, but I want you to know it is there, and it can work. I'm going to clear all this up. As you can see, I have so many things here. So, make sure you practice this, see if you can use it. And now you're like, hey Rhonda, so where is this Google Advanced? I will tell you it's moved all over the place, but you can find it. I've actually put it on the library's website, but you can find it under settings. And this is what I mean by it being training wheels. This has the video, so let me do all. So you can, from any of these points, you can break into an advanced search. You can use any words, and it helps you through the whole thing. Just use the words that are most common in your search idea. So we'll just go Washington State and gold mines. I'll take this out. This also lets you do a phrase search. Suppose I only wanted Washington State as a phrase, and I could just take this out. So now this will be searched as a phrase, and it gives you an example of what Google does to make that happen. Any of these words I might want to add, travel, history, things of that nature, that might be interesting. None of these words. I use this a lot. Not COVID-19 right now, but sometimes you'll get things from the same state or country or person, like maybe not .gov. I don't want these government sites. Whatever may be in your research, you can do it here. Find the pages in the language you select. you can select any of these in a particular region. This is a great way to get out of your Google bubble. Search some other place and you'll have different pieces. When has it been updated? You know what? I only want to see things that have been updated the past month, past year. This is one way for you to make sure you're looking at fresh materials, though maybe the person only came in to change the copyright to the current date, but at least it's something that gives you more information than you normally have. Have you ever been to a website and you know something's on it and you can't find it? CDC.gov is really a big one for that. APA Style Blog is something I use. Or if you just need to look for something in Facebook or Twitter, put that information here. Right now, I believe I'm killing this search, like it's very specific. And often you want to go big and not small, but this can also help. You can also look for file type. And frankly, I use this quite a bit. You can look for spreadsheets, PowerPoints. If you're looking for a topic, a travel thing on that somebody's done a PowerPoint on a travel to a country, and like, what did that look like? This is how you could find it. It's really hard to find through that main Google search, but with this advanced search, you can be very specific. I use PDF all the time because that's how a lot of information is put together in syllabuses and things like this, so I can find assignments and all sorts of other things that I love to find. So, and then with advanced search, you go here, and it doesn't have any great matches because I really put too many things on there. But do you see how it did? If you put site with a colon and then the site domain, Google will search inside of that. Now I'm going to do this because I think that was the thing that hurt it. You can also use these while you're here. This shows me Pinterest. I will tell you, I always take out Pinterest in my searches, and you do it by minus Pinterest in Google. I hope that that alone has really helped you out a great deal, because that is really awesome. And this takes me to all these other places I may not have gotten to if I just use a plain Google search. So I hope you're finding this exciting. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. I'm going to go to Google Scholar. But I have it set up a special way for you. So let's move this over. I have it set up so that it finds the full text inside of the library. So if you go to Databases A to Z and go to Google Scholar, I have a little video. It's 3 minutes if you forget everything I'm saying. I put this here because sometimes it's hard to find and they're right next to each other, and it's great to try both. Now, Google Scholar generally is going to search for things that are scholarly articles. So if you see that requirement in your assignment, this is a great place. If you want to think about it in a way, we have like over 100 databases. We've got 5 database publishers. This is an overarching search for scholarly articles across our databases. So I already have this search set up. And if you come over here to the right side, if you hit this, this may take you to that paywall. This will take you most of the time, 85% of the time, to full text. This takes you through our library catalog. It's going to give you a list of databases that have it. You click here and it should resolve to the article. If it does not resolve to the article, at least it puts you in the database and you know that's a great place to do your search. So let me back out of here and show you other things. The other thing it does is highlight the other places you might be able to find free full text. And if that didn't work for you, look at the versions. If it has 5 versions, one of these versions may be someplace you can find for free. So remember when I said you might run into something, the paywall, and you really want to get to that thing? Get the title, bring it into the Google Scholar that I've connected to our institution search. That's right, use our Databases A to Z Google Scholar to find this information. Put that in the title and do a search to see if you can get to it. Other awesome things you can do with Google Scholar is see what has cited this article, and if that article was good, you might find more current ones that would also be useful. If you need some hint on how to cite it, these are not correct, but This one's actually pretty close. These at least will give you the author elements, the publication date, titles, the name of the journal, and things of that nature that if you're like me, you sometimes forget. I always forget the page numbers, just saying. So these are kind of a guideline. Copy and correct them, but they are useful. You can also make a custom range or search only the past few years. If you're looking for nursing or other information, I have to tell you something. Google Scholar has a secret sauce that I cannot explain to you, but it does not have the full text of everything, but it seems to be aware of the full text. So sometimes Google Scholar will search the library databases better than the database itself. And that is awesome information. So another thing you can do if you know you're going to work on this topic, go ahead and create an alert. Here, if anybody cites this article, I can mail it to myself. I can search the number of results, and when somebody cites this and a new article comes out, I will know to come read this. This is really great when you're working on a long-term project and when you're working on your doctorate, because I know you will. You will create alerts about searches. Let's have this. So then when I go to the create alert, it's going to look for just this. It's going to show the results, and I'll create the alert and it will email it to me. Now I'm going to have to undo the alert, but in your email it has a great way to unsubscribe. So do you see how all these things actually have beautiful ways of looking for information that takes you away from that sad first link on the sad first page of search results? I'm just leaving some quiet there so you could think about it. So I told you I was going to look for, show you some other things, and I wanted to show you Semantic Scholar. And if you don't find something here, you can, if you find it not full text, you can come back to Google Scholar or the library. But this is also a way to look for things, and many of these things are open resource and available to you. So if I put in Washington State gold mines, it's going to have a number of results that I can break down by different things, including philosophy. Date range has PDF, something I'm always looking for. Types of publications, books, news, reviews, journal articles, things of that nature. Authors, if you need to. Journals and conferences, if you need to restrict to that. And it sorts by relevance and does a few other things. It prides itself on trying to use the 20 words that tell you the most about the article. This is not an abstract, this is something they've created themselves so that you could go through these search results more rapidly. Also, you'll see how many people have cited it. It will show you the different places you will be able to review. You can also set up alerts, and it does have a citation helper. And I would say copy and correct as usual, but at least it has some of the pieces. So when you go into this, it's going to show you where you can look at it. And in this case, it takes you to PubMed. And if you're in medicine, I do hope you're using this, because this is something you actually would use when you're in your hospital or clinical settings. The next thing I want to go out with, because sometimes, kind of like misusing Google, we have other options here that are free and available to us. One from Alpha is computational intelligence. So if you're looking for things like demographics, let's say television, I don't know how this is going to go. It's going to search through and find statistics and information specific to those items. It's bringing up franchises and things of that. It may not be able to figure it out, but let's see, Star Trek equals, and it tells you some information. It's not going to blend a geographic piece. I'm going to kind of go back the other Florida population. And it's going to be pulling from some government sites and other places to be able to find this. Oftentimes it gives you graphs and other information, comparisons, and different things of this nature. So I'm going to go back to Wolfram Alpha, the front, but let's see dates and times. It talks about time zones, configurations, holidays, recurring events, all sorts of things that have to do with quantitative values and numbers. And at some point you might have put something like that in Google when actually Wolfram Alpha would have done a far better job for you. It also helps you with some math and step-by-step solutions. So I'm going to wrap all of this up. And remember, if you ever have any sort of problem, ask your librarian. My name is Rhonda Kitchens. I'm easy to find on the library page. On every library page we have, let me make sure I show it to you over here. Ask a librarian. Come in here and you can get help 24/7. And if for some reason somebody doesn't pick up, at least it shows up in a ticket in our mailbox and we'll follow up with you. So I know this was a lot of search information, but I hope I've given you some skills and some ideas and ways of doing research that you can do on your phone. Easy, fast, and also competently and wisely. Have a good day.